तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm really thankful lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas here that I may speak something on this most nectarian and most important topic for our lifetime. Is holy name is the only ashraya. Holy name is the only way we go ahead. Holy name is something which uplifts us, and simultaneously, holy name is the one that, if not taken care properly, may lead to deleterious effects. We have many anarthas, we have many issues with. Yeah. So this book called Bhajan Rahasya, or Confidential Secrets of Chanting the Holy Name Maharaj, would like to some parts and bits of it, which really interests me. So in the initial time, part of it, it says that this is said by Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. All right, okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, so I'm reading from this book called Nama Rahasya by Sachinand Swami Maharaj, where he quotes the first chapter and starts with waking up from the dream. How Harinam is actually nothing but a inert calling from a sincere, not a devotee till that time, but a sincere person who's executing all his responsibilities from a very beneficial perspective. So he says, the Bhakti Saraswati Thakur writes that at the time, the awakened soul says, in effect to the mind and the body, I'm not in identical with you. I'm not identical with you. I do not want what you require. I have long believed that I was identical with both of you. This is to the soul says to mind and the body. So I have long believed that I was identical with both of you and that we shared the same interests. But now I find that I'm categorically different from you. I made wholly from I am made wholly from the principle of self-conscious, which both of you are made of dead, whether both of you are made of dead matter. I refuse to be slave anymore. So that is the point at which actually we started developing that there is some variation there, that my real source of happiness and the place where I'm trying to search for happiness are two different places. And so that is the way we get the association of Vaishnavas. And then by the mercy of Vaishnavas, we start chanting. But then once we start chanting, and initially with full enthusiasm, we are, Hari Bol into this process. And eventually with time, we start chanting around 16 rounds. And then all of a sudden one day we are there for initiation. And yes, we get initiation. And after that, over the years, after the initiation, that enthusiasm, that feeling, that virtue in which we used to chant, slowly and steadily starts to diminish. So Kadamgaran Swami Maharaj says this at many places, and just before my initiation, he spoke to me. So he told me an hour before the initiation that Rupa Kishor, Rusha, I don't want you to chant 16 rounds. No, I want you to chant good 16 rounds. And how do we understand what is good 16 rounds and what is just 16 rounds? minimum good 16 rounds. So what is minimum good 16 rounds? It means that one should be totally absorbed. Let every bead with every syllable of those 32 syllable be exactly reflecting into our mind, and simultaneously it shouldn't be very mechanical, because what happens over time is we end up becoming a shell of a devotee. So what is a shell of a devotee? A shell of a devotee is when, we may make the best tilak possible. We may know to wear dhoti in 16 different ways. We may know to exclusively dance like the best person in the temple room. We may be able to sing beautifully like no one else. But eventually, we are trying to manipulate the external potency of Krishna. Whereas it is clearly stated in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu that bhakti is nothing external, it is only internal. Definitely, there are practices. These practices, as we are practicing devotees, it is helping us to rise from बद्ध स्टेट से अच्छा है कि धीरे धीरे करके ऊपर आएंगे. We will try to uplift, but then the sheer essence of our activities, our lifestyle, our chanting, our devotional service per se is something which is more internal. Uh, over the period of time, with yeah, okay, Mangalarti, all right, Samsar Dava, okay, all right, same. Okay, then there is Narshinga Arti, then there is Tulsi Arti. The entire day, even if you're at the temple, it goes to the same, uh, in the same way, whether it's something that we take it seriously, but that enthusiasm slowly and steadily starts to diminish, which is the main problem. And moreover, it is because of the various nam aparads that we go through. Most important of all the aparad is Vaishnava aparad. And yeah, we don't even realize that slowly and steadily we are just down, down with all that energy that we had built up. So, so how do we then get that enthusiasm? Where does that enthusiasm come from? So, so the same thing Gurudev was telling me the other day, that that enthusiasm comes again by trying to push ourselves into listening, to pure devotees. We we might be having difficulty in the entire day to segregate our entire or put bhakti into pieces. It's like, okay, morning 16 rounds, we are done, and then maybe we don't even see our beads, or maybe even if we see our beads, we are mechanically chanting. uh yeah, no, this is all for me, Prabhujis. So please don't take the other way around. This is for me. मैं तो सबसे बद्ध आदमी हूँ, प्रभु जी. So mechanical chanting is more dangerous, because then we are in that air in our mind that, oh, I have done 16 rounds or 32 rounds or maybe 50 rounds, or maybe 64 rounds. Wow. you know so this air in which we live, this is very hazardous for our bhakti, first of all, because it gives you that ego push which is not required. And the whole essence of bhakti is humility. So first to that, and so again, I'm not saying that one should not chant, but one should chant in that same humble mood all the time, and simultaneously try to uplift the consciousness, which is the sheer essence. So uh, yeah, when we say that chanting of the holy name is the only source, yes, it is the only source, it is the only way, it is the source and the way, both is the holy name. But are we taking that seriously? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu couldn't, as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Vrindavan consciousness, he couldn't speak of anything else but cry, 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 and chant. Narottam Das Thakur describes that in his one of the uh, very famous poetry, that Gauranga Bolite Habe. When will that day come when we will be able to chant the holy name. And as soon as we chant the holy name, there'll be tears rolling off our eyes. When will that day come? Uh, so yeah, so when will that day come? Okay, we are doing everything. It's fantastic. It is very good. But when will that day come when we will try to intensify the bhakti? This practicing devotee stage. From practicing devotee stage, we actually develop some interest in holy name. But sometimes I feel we become okay, like chalo theek hai. It's a far fetched dream. हमसे तो नहीं हो पाएगा भाई. It's like हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा दूर है, और it's near. Maybe not now, maybe in some time I will be able to reach the stage where I'll be able to have some emotions. We all of us have emotions, definitely, but emotions in the right way. So there is another meditation which Maharaj told that what we can do is, I think this is also said by Srila Radhanand Swami Maharaj at many places, that one should uh, before our chanting, first of all, the entire day that we live, that reflects the chanting the most. The way we live our entire day, it is not just 2 hours. It is the rest 22 hours that affects the 2 hours of chanting most. So whether are we really trying to live a deeper life, or whether we are trying to accelerate into our life in every ways. So we can have an accelerated life if that is our seva, but to have a deeper consciousness at every point is mandatory, because that is our attitude. Our mind initially picks up like that, and because we are baddha, we are uh, at least, if not this body, at least a shuttle body is something which is always irritating us with the six anarthas especially. So because we are really occupied with our mind, that's why it becomes very difficult initially. But we have to understand at every point that holy name is our only way. And if I don't live a life which is helping me grow my consciousness, or help me grow my emotions for Krishna, then what am I doing? Am I wasting my time? Whatever activities are we doing, is it taking me closer to Krishna? So eventually it comes, everything boils down to the same principle by Rupa Goswami, that in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, that everything that, except whatever is favorable for Krishna, reject whatever is unfavorable for Krishna. So it eventually boils down, the 22 hours of a day should be boiled down to that, and the 2 hours of chanting, which should eventually increase as uh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says at many places, that one should start, practicing devotee should start with one grantha. So one grantha is equivalent to 4 rounds, and eventually reach to the plateau of 16 granthas. And then eventually, he'll be chanting 162 rounds. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with maths. So, then that is the way the entire day will be occupied continuously in chanting. So initially we try to develop that taste, but midway, I think we are losing that. And why spiritual sound vibrations are so necessary for us? So as we know, we are made of the primary 5 elements. The most important element of the amongst all is ether. So our soul is totally covered with ether, the first layer, and it is only the sound vibration, the quality of every uh, all the Panch Mahabhuta, one of the quality of the ether is sound. So this sound vibration is the best way to actually work. It actually works it out to purify. It soothes us. It penetrates deeper into our hearts and just helps us remember it much better. So that's why spiritual sound vibration is important. And how seriously we take this is really mandatory, whether we are really trying to go deep and trying to live in that mood of humility. So yeah, 22 hours, rest 22 hours make a lot of difference in our 2 hours of chanting, and eventually from 2 hours we should increase our chanting. Yeah. All right. I'm really sorry, Prabhuji, if I've I'm not really very expert in all this, but somehow it's a seva. So I'm just trying, Prabhuji.